Marino, you don't look like Assassina Criticalando, hombre. Wait a minute. Shouldn't you be a pirate?
Yeehaw! That's because I embrace the outlaw styles. Hey man, cowboys can be outlaws too. Now watch this.
That make no sense, hombre. But you still Criticalando.
Yeehaw! Of course, because we outlaws love whiskey. Big hits, big tits, Tijuana, Mexico. Big crits. Yeehaw! That's why we use the Frost Shard set. So stick around, my Assassino amigo. Man, fuck this shit. This side is too heavy. You're right, man. I was a pirate all along. Arrgh.
Hermano, I knew it.
Now watch me swatch some buckle into these mobs. Go, killing spree.
Ah, shit. My hero. Oh, shit. Run. The police is coming.
Grappling hook to safety. Don't worry, they will always remember this day as the day they almost caught Captain Jack Blade Flurry. But before I go, you'll need talents, rotation, covenants, legendaries, and more! Yarr!
So drop a like here, mate, or you will have a meeting with my little friend here. Yes, it has 3 battles. One for a like, one for subscribe, and one for the damn notification bell thingy. Yes, it helps us a lot, so do it, and no one will have to get hurt. Your outlaw adventures will start with Ghostly Strike for single target and mostly in raids. This talent will add an additional combo point generator to your toolkit and will leave a debuff on the target to take extra damage from all of your abilities, and its cooldown is reduced by your finishing moves, thanks to your Restless Blades passive. Note that the debuff from Ghostly Strike is not spread by Blade Flurry, making it a little less desirable in AOE situations, but it can shine when you need to gun down priority targets faster. To solve your AOE issues, in comes Quick Draw, a good all-around talent that will shine more in Mythic Plus. This talent will make your empowered pistol shot be more empowered with extra damage and will generate 1 additional combo point. It will be very powerful in AOE as stated before, and it will not fall very much behind in single target, so be free to take this pistol anywhere if you can't be bothered with an extra button. On the next row, unfortunately, Acrobatic Strikes will be the best and only pick. The extra range it provides you with will translate into an increased range to Blade Flurry as well, making you hit mobs in AOE that you normally couldn't before. This talent is well known for its use in Freehold back in the days of the BFAs, when you could out DPS the shark boss from outside of his little whirlwind thingy and take no damage because you would outrange it. And similar uses are still present today if you're a bit creative with your positioning to make use of its range and maintain high damage outside of the bat. On the level 30 row, Marked for Death will be your all-around best pick. A 5 combo point generator that doesn't put you into combat with the target and resets if the target dies in 1 minute. It's a no joke, it's pretty good. This talent will shine in AOE situations when you can snipe mobs that die very fast and benefit from it for a long ass time. In raids is very powerful as well, and you can start a fight with Slice and Dice already active, so higher chance for your Beast Legendary Celerity to proc, and its cooldown is reduced by finishing moves thanks again to Restless Blades. The Deeper Stratagem talent can be an alternative pick if you prefer a passive gain and not an extra button. This will increase your combo point threshold to 6, so all your finishing moves will be stronger, and on top of that, it will add a little extra damage to them. In the survivability row, Cheat Death will take the cake as the best all-around pick. This talent will deny your death once every 6 minutes and will leave you with sliver of health and a big-ass damage reduction buff. Cheat Death will shine and will help you very much in the raid when you need to cheese some mechanics or when you are unsure if you will survive or not from a hit. Elusiveness will be the more controlled counterpart to Cheat Death. It will make Feint reduce the direct damage you take. This will be more useful in Mythic Plus and AoE situations where you can mitigate more damage, especially if you know when the damage is going to hit and if you can survive it. The healers will be thankful for having to heal you less if you will become the master of elusiveness. On the utility/control row, your picks will only influence if you can stun or CC the target. But if you can, Dirty Tricks can be very useful, making all your CCs free so you can save energy for your damage abilities. Indirectly, you can call this a talent DPS increase if you have a lot of CC to do. But you know what you can directly call a DPS increase? Well, Prey on the Weak, of course. it will apply a damage increase to the targets you stun, and on top of that, the damage increase will be from all sources. All of the DPS will praise you for using this talent. On the row before last, yes, the best pick will be Alacrity if you are not Venthyr. It will make your finisher moves come with a stacking haste buff, and as long as you can use one in 20 seconds, you will never drop this ever. If by any means you are a Venthyr because you play a lot of sub, or you just missed the Legion artifact power, then go for the Dreadblades talent. It's no different than the Legion version. It will make your damaging combo points generators fill your combo points bar. Is there a bar? Doesn't matter. You get what I mean. At the cost of some HP though when you use a finisher. Be careful not to make your healers get a heart attack with it, and because of how flagellation works, you will have the potential with this talent to equalize the damage Alacrity brings, if not to even surpass it. And on the last row, Blade Rush will be your go-to for single target situations. This talent will help you stick to the boss like glue, providing you with a short charge, hitting your targets for a bunch of damage and other targets around it for a smaller amount. Don't worry, cause Blade Flurry has your back and it will make Blade Rush hit all targets all around. Wait, for all of the damage your main target gets, woo! Yes, and on top of that, Blade Rush will provide you with 25 energy over 5 seconds, and again, its cooldown will be reduced by Restless Blades. On the more bursty side of the spectrum, Killing Spree will help you especially in Mythic Plus and burst AoE situations. It's another teleport, this time uncontrolled, that will hit one target for 2 seconds for humongous damage, with Blade Flurry making it hit all targets around for the full damage. And again, you know the drill, Restless Blades, cooldown finishers, and yada yada yada. Yes, simming will give you the best results for your most desired stats, and did you know we have a how to sim your character video? Yes! Check it out after you watch this video, so, stay here. When you'll start your Outlaw live, you can go with agility as your most desired stat, so in most cases, the higher the eye level, the better it will be. For your secondary stat, versatility will be the first, followed very closely by crit, then in comes haste and mastery all the way to the bottom. For your weapon enchants, you will need to have one Celestial Guidance enchant on one of them, and depending on the encounter you find yourself in, Sinful Revelation on the other for single target boss fights, or Lightless Force in case you are in AoE situations. For your chest, use Eternal Stats as the best all-around enchant, and don't forget that extra stamina from the Heavy Desolate Armor kit, especially if you are doing high content. On your boots, like all Outlaws, you will have to get the Eternal Agility enchant. Yes, I saw this in a movie once, so the cowboy had it. Pirate? Cowboy? You get it. The cloak enchants will not influence your damage that much, so feel free to pick whatever you desire the most, but as a general rule, you'll want the Fortified Avoidance one the most for its defensive capabilities. Because versatility is the toughest stat in town, you will want to use the Versatile Jewel Cluster on items that have sockets, and the Tentative Versatility enchant on your rings. Even as an outlaw, you will desire more power, so go for the Spectral Flask of Power as the best one you can use. You'll have a choice when using potions though, so you can use the Potion of Phantom Fire for pure single target situations, or the Potion of Spectral Agility for more burst and usually in AoE situations. In general, you will want to use the Shaded Sharpening Stone, or Shaded Waystone, as your temporary weapon enchant. But we will recommend you to sim your character, as Shadow Core Oil with the Potion of Phantom Fire can out-DPS the Shady Stones in pure single target situations. Steal some feasts of Gladness Hedonism, cause Outlaw, and eat it for the best food buff, and if you cannot find it, then go for the Steak a la Mode for extra versatility. .9.1.5 has finally arrived, and you can freely swap between covenants. For Rogue, all of them are fairly balanced. You can go for the one that you think is the most fun and makes you feel complete when picking it. You won't really feel a difference, only in high-end content, and that by a very small margin, kinda like less than 1%, something like that. So we will recommend you to join the Kirin as the best all-around and most versatile covenant to pick. Yes, they will not force you to stay under an umbrella all the time. The Blue Angels will provide you with Echoing Reprimand, a fun generator tied up to a fun minigame. Win that minigame by using a finisher with the combo points it shows you, and you will be rewarded with a 7 combo points finisher. And with no surprise by now, the Kyrian signature ability, Summon Steward, will provide you with the File of Serenity. Yes, you will feel the Serenity when you consume it, up to 3 times, and it will clear all your bleeds, poison, diseases, and curses. Kinda acts like a Hellstone. Forge Light Prime Mechanicos, though he's not one of the Blue Angels.
But look how cute he is. Definitely you cannot say no to him.
He will be your best all-around pick with the 3 potency conduit paths for raiding and the Hammer of Genesis one for dungeons. Mechanicos will bring to the table traits like Brawn's Call to Action to summon Brawn and knock up and DPS your enemies. You don't knock them up, man, you knock them down. Lego, come on, man, we talked about this. Bad Lego, bad. And also heals your allies. The Hammer of Genesis trait will come next and will provide you with a lot of haste as long as you hit a new enemy in a 10-second window. The Soul Glow Spectrometer will be the next trait and will provide you with a stacking damage buff on a target. Keep in mind that you have to wait for it to finish its ramp on one target in order for it to move to the next, so try to use it on priority targets the most. And finally, the Effusive Venom Accelerator will provide you with an explosion when you use your Echoing Reprimand ability. On top of that, the accelerator will reduce the cooldown of your Echoing Reprimand by a maximum of 15 seconds, depending on the numbers of targets it has hit. For all you Mythic Plus lovers, the Necro Lords will be the pick for you. The Covenant's specific ability will be Certed Bone Spike, a 3-charge combo points generator that will increase the number of combo points it generates with the number of targets affected. So care not to overcap too much. It applies an infinite dot on your targets, and you have access to a fun legendary that lets you use their Covenant ability on up to 10 targets. The Necro's signature ability, Fleshcraft, will provide you with a shield and some damage reduction when you will channel this ability. It is a decent defensive ability to have, and it can be an offensive one with the Emily Soulbind. But the best Soulbind for you will be Bone Smith Heimler. With a 2 potency conduits path, she will bring to the table traits like Forgeborn Reveries, an agility buff that stacks up to 3 times, depending on the numbers of enchants you have on, and Heimer's Arsenal Marrow Gemstone. Oh man, that's a long ass name for a simple trait that will provide you with a lot of critical strike chance after you land 10 critical strikes. The Carver's Eye trait is next and will provide you with a mastery buff when you hit high health enemies and will stack up to 5 times. And finally, Mnemonic Equipment will give you some passive damage when you hit an enemy under 35% HP, a pretty good execute trait, I can say. Yes. If you followed our recommended paths before, then you will need some conduits to help you on your journey. Count the Odds will be the best conduit and first potency conduit you should use. It will give your ambush and your dispatch a very decent chance to provide you with a 5-second roll the bones buff that you don't already have, and it has triple the chance to give you triple the duration of a buff if you cast it from stealth. Next, you will usually take the Covenant specific one, Reverberation for Kyrians, a flat damage to your Echoing Reprimand ability. Sudden Death Fracture for Necros, an interesting trait that will make your bleed from certain bone spike have a chance to tick a second time. For all you vampires fanatics out there, Lashing Scars will be your second best conduit as well. This will be a very big DPS increase to your Flagellation. Use it with caution. As your final potency conduit, you can choose from Sleight of Hand, a trait that reduces the chance of only getting 1 buff from all the bones by having chances extra to get more, or Triple Threat, a trait that gives your Sinister Strike a small chance to hit 2 more times. For your Endurance conduits, there won't be any best trait, but we can recommend you to consider Recuperator as the first one to take for the passive healing it provides while Slice and Dice is active. Like 100% of the time, actually. The Nimble Fingers conduit will reduce the energy cost of Crimson Vial, so you can call it a very minor DPS gain, as this will ultimately give you more energy to work with if you need to press one of those spells. I think it's Faint as well. In the Finesse department, like for Endurance, you can go with Quick Decisions as the most helpful one for the range and cooldown reduction on your grappling hook. Rushed Setup will be your second choice and will shine when you need to stun and CC mobs very often. Again, an energy reduction trait that can provide a minor DPS increase when you use your CC very often. In your Trinket slots, you will have some interesting choices. The raid will provide you with the Salvage Fusion Amplifier Trinket from the Guardian of the First One's boss, and one of the best ones you can find even on a heroic eye level. Relic of the Frozen Waste will be a good alternative from the raid from Kel'Thuzad and will have the highest eye level you can get on a trinket. Finally, from the raid, Tormented Rag Fragment will be another solid choice dropped by Painsmith and will provide you with a decent dot that will give you critical strike when the target dies and you collect the soul left behind. From dungeons, you will get, of course, the File of Putrefaction as the best all-around trinket from Plaguefall. Haha! Go farm it! You will get a good weapon from there as well, so it's not that bad, don't worry, just be happy. The Shadow Grasp Totem from the other side dungeon will be a solid choice for your second trinket slot, and if you can and want, the Ticking Sack of Terror from the new dungeon will be a very good pick. Although it's only available on eye level 226 and 233, it is still a good contender to the other top eye level trinkets and will probably dethrone File in the next patch. For your domination set, the Winds of Winter Frost set will be the best thing you can use. Just note that this set will have you get way more crit rating than you normally would, and yes, big ass crits will surround you. Pair the set with Diz and Beck, the other 2 damage sockets, and you are ready to contend the top dogs in DPS in the raid, or the Maw, or Torghast. In Mythic Plus, because your set won't have any powers there, you will want to go with the 3 damage sockets, Core, Diz and Beck, with Kier for the extra shield it provides, and Zed, a good minor damage socket, thanks to your Slice and Dice plus Recuperator Conduit. Craft the Celerity legendary on one of your ring slots as the best all-around legendary you can wish for. It will give your Adrenaline Rush spell a damage increase buff, and your Slice and Dice will have a small chance to activate Adrenaline Rush for 3 seconds. The Guile Charm legendary will be a good alternative for single target situations to Celerity. Build it on your next slot and you will have access to an old mechanic that will provide you with an increasing damage buff when you use Sinister Strike. The buff will last for 12 seconds on its highest veil and will repeat the cycle. In AOE situations, the Mark of the Master Assassin legendary will be a strong contender. Build it in one of your ring slots and you will be rewarded with the non-stop crits for 4 seconds after you get out of stealth. This is a very powerful legendary, but will fall behind if you cannot enter stealth constantly. In comes Deadly Shadows, the legendary to help you solve your issues. Build it on your leg slot and it will provide you with 5 combo points, 50% damage boost for 12 seconds every time you use Vanish. This legendary will be a very powerful pick for Mythic Plus even at the most highest of levels. And now for the Covenant specific ones, Resounding Clarity will be a fun one for the Kyrians in single target situations mostly. Build it in your belt slot to get Anima Charge on all your combo points from 2 to 5. This will mean 4 uses out of a 7 combo point finisher. For Necros, the Death Spike legendary will be a fun one in AoE situations. Build it on your wrist slot and you will get 2 more bone spikes and it will always launch 1 more at a target near your main target. With this legendary, it will be a spike fiesta and everyone around you will have infinite dots on them. And finally, if you are by any means a Venthyr or you plan on swapping off into Sab or Assassination spec, then build the Obedience legendary on your cloak slot. It is not an exceptional one for you as an outlaw, but will be a very powerful alternative in single target scenarios. When it comes to weapons, Outlaw is yet another very interesting spec with very interesting drops from the raid. You will desire the Cruciform Vein Reaper from Painsmith for your main hand, and as for offhand, go into Assassination or Sub spec and loot the Edge of Night from Sylvanas and use it in your offhand weapon. You will anger other rogues a little bit, but it will be worth it, trust me. In case Painsmith is a hater and doesn't drop the weapon, you will have an alternative option with Bogstorm, Longsword of Pestilence, while farming your File of Putrefaction from the Plaguefall dungeon. Now, before we go into the opener rotation, you will want to know what makes Outlaw such a fast-paced spec, and what is the bread and butter that makes it all work so well. The bread will be the Roll the Bones, because of the buffs it gives. Although not as hated as the BFA version when it costed combo points to activate it, now it only costs energy and has a cooldown. But it is still random to get 1, 2 and so on till all 6 buffs. You'll want to keep all combinations of more than just 1 buff, and you can keep Broadside and True Bearing as well if they come alone until the last seconds of their duration. For the rest, you'll want to reroll as fast as possible. Now in comes the butter. We talked about it in the talent section, your passive Restless Blades. With no surprise, this passive will make your finishing moves reduce the cooldown of all the spells you can see on the screen right now. With this butter, your bread, roll the bones, will come off cooldown way before the boss finish, so you can always re-roll. Now, what you have to keep in mind is that re-rolling earlier will have two effects. The first one is to clear all your old buffs and give you new ones, and the second one, the pandemic refresh system, where if you refresh earlier, the new buffs can have up to 30% of the duration of the last added on top of it all. Now you are ready to eat and mash the spec. On with the opener. The opener for single target will have you put poisons on. Be in stealth, use roll the bones before the pool, use mark for death if talented, cast slice and dice, and open up with ambush. Cast adrenaline rush, vanish next, ambush again, continue with your priority. For your single target priority, you will have 2 flagellation if Pantheon on cooldown, and before a finisher. Adrenaline rush on cooldown, maintain roll the bones, mark for death on cooldown, ghostly strike if talented on cooldown, killing spree if talented at low energy, blade rush on cooldown, use dread blades, before a generator, vanish on cooldown, and ambush. The other Covenant specific spell on cooldown goes here, pistol shot with opportunity procs and, or now with quick draw, sinister strike as a filler. For your finishers, the order will be between the eyes first on cooldown, maintain slice and dice up, and dispatch after. For your multi-target opener, you will again have poisons on your weapons, be in stealth, use roll the bones before the pool, use mark for death if talented on the priority target or the one you think will die first for the reset. Cast slice and dice after. Open with ambush, cast adrenaline rush, cast blade flurry, and continue with the rotation. The multi-target priority is the same as the single target rotation as long as the blade flurry buff doesn't drop off. You will need to maintain. Special thanks to Zeratool or TheRedRogue for helping us with the feedback for the guide. Very good outlaw rogue with a lot of knowledge that helped us learn the spec a little bit more. And of course, last but not least, the Ravenhold Discord community for having some of the best rogues in the world with some awesome information compiled there if you want to advance your rogue spec to the next level, because we don't usually go into the advanced things too much. And of course, a thank you to the patrons for supporting the channel and everything that we do here, from the guides, from the mocast, from the TLFs, from the news shows, everything. Thank you very much. And if you, the viewer, like our guides and you want to see more stuff in the future, help supporting us by checking the Patreon page down below. It's not required, but it does really help out and we really appreciate it. Thank you for watching the video. See you next time.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classic or retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play